All right, the final section of chapter 3 deals with 3.7 function operations. And here we have a couple of different functions, f of x equals 3x plus 4, and g of x equals x squared minus 5x. And in function operations, you're going to need to do a bunch of different things. One of them would be to add the functions together, which then would be 3x plus 4 plus x squared minus 5x. And you can combine those things because those two can be added together, and you would get x squared minus 2x plus 4. Now, if you were evaluating a function, or evaluating this where it's f of 3 plus g of 3, or it could be written as f plus g of 3, either way, then what you would have to do, you have one of two things you can do. One would be to substitute 3 in to each of the two functions. And so you could get 3 times 3 plus 4, which is 13, and that's f of 3. And g of 3 is equal to 3 squared minus 5 times 3, which is 9 minus 15 is a negative 6. And then take these two answers, and because our operation is addition, add those together to get 7. Or you can try to simplify this by adding them together and getting this, and then putting 3 into these two places, and you would still get the same thing. 9 minus 6 is 3, plus 4 is 7 still. Taking and multiplying two functions together and using the same 2, you're just going to distribute things from one part to the other. And so those two first, 3x times x squared, would be 3x cubed. 3x times a negative 5x would be a negative 15x squared. 4 times x squared would be plus 4x squared. And 4 times a negative 5 is a negative 20x. And then, of course, you can combine these two because they are the same variable and exponent. So 3x to the third minus 11x squared minus 20x. Now then, taking some other examples and evaluating with this f minus g of 7, if you figure out what f of 7 is first, you would get 25. G of 7, and you would get 49 minus 35, which is 14. And then take these two things and subtract them, and you would have f minus g of 7 is equal to 11. Same with dividing. G of a negative 3 is going to be 9 plus 15, which is 24. F of a negative 3, which is a negative 5. And then f divided by g of a negative 3 is going to equal a negative 24/5. Moving on to the second part of this section deals with composition of functions. And we're still going to use 3x plus 4 and x squared minus 5x. Composition of functions can be written one of two ways. Like this using parentheses, or like this using the composition symbol. It's a little circle, an open circle. This is read f composition g of x. And so is this one, f composition g of x. What it means is you substitute the g function into the f function. In this case, if these were some other variables, you just take this function and it gets substituted into that one. And here you would take that and substitute it into that function. So if we were trying to find f composition g of x, we would take this and bring it over here and substitute it in for x. So you would get 3 times x squared minus 5x and then plus 4. Distributing the 3 to both things would then get you 3x squared minus 15x and then plus 4. And that would be the simplified version of f composition g of x. If you were going to work the other way, g composition f of x, that means you're taking the f function and substituting it in for the variable in g. So you would have 3x plus 4 squared minus 5 times 3x plus 4. And when you take 3x plus 4 and square it, you will get 9x squared plus 24x plus 16 minus 15x minus 20. Combining what you can, which would be 24 and the negative 15 and 16 and the negative 20, you would end up with 9x squared plus 9x minus 4. And that would be g composition f of x. Now if you were trying to evaluate g composition g of x, then you would be taking this function and substituting it in to the variable x. So you'd have x squared minus 5x squared minus 5 times x squared minus 5x. Squaring this thing would be x to the 4th minus 10x to the 3rd plus 25x squared. Distributing would be a negative 5x squared plus 25x. Combining what you can, which would be those two, you'd get 20x squared. And then if you were evaluating a function, you could take and figure out what it is first, or just work the same way as what composition means. Figure out what f of 5 is first. And in this case, f of 5 would be 3 times 5 plus 4, which is 19. And so then since f of 5 is equal to 19, if we want to do g composition f of 5, then we would have g of 19 now to figure out. And so then you would have 19 squared minus 5 times 19. And that would get you 266. And that is everything that this section 7 talks about in chapter 3.